Hello and welcome to GCSE Business. Today we will be looking at an introduction to business growth. It's always really important to start with some key concepts of growth, key concepts of any topic in business that you're looking at to really get your head around those key terms, because throughout the course there are so many key terms that you'll need to learn. It's really good to just refresh your memory about what they actually mean. So we have a few key terms here. Organic growth. Organic growth happens through increasing output or launching new products within a business. So organic growth is basically referring to natural growth. The business has improved the way they do things, they have brought out new products, they've enhanced their marketing campaigns, they've grown slowly, but they've grown naturally, just simply through becoming more popular. Next type of growth is external growth. And this is where they've done a lot quicker. They've grown a lot quicker, and that's through mergers and takeovers and acquisitions. So this is where one company will take over maybe a competitor or another company within their supply chain, and that means they can grow very quickly. Economies of scale. Economies of scale means that as cost per unit decrease as output increases. So as the business becomes bigger, as they grow, all their costs, their fixed costs, are being spread over more units of output. It's their fixed costs that are actually reducing their cost per unit as opposed to their variable costs. Variable costs are costs that are directly associated to the actual unit themselves in terms of costs of production. Fixed costs stay constant no matter how much you produce. So the more you produce, the cheaper each individual unit becomes. So economies of scale is as output increases, cost per unit decrease. And on the flip side to that, we have diseconomies of scale, which is as output increases, cost per unit increases. And that's where you're not being as efficient in the business. Diversification. Diversification expands into new markets or products to spread risk and increase revenue. So if you're trying to grow and you diversify, you're actually going into different markets. Organic growth. So let's have a look at this specifically. So as we know, organic growth happens when a company expands by boosting output, launching products, or increasing customers internally. They're doing really well themselves. They're growing naturally. An advantage of this is that it is a lot more controlled and a lot more sustainable. There is less risk involved by growing naturally. You can change the business organisational structure slowly over time. You can introduce greater training to help your employees cope with maybe the increased workloads, and you can preserve the company culture. Downside to that is it's going to be a lot slower. You're only always going to have certain internal resources. Those are going to be limited. Therefore, growing quickly is going to be quite difficult. Strategies for driving growth. So businesses focus on improving efficiency, marketing and customer engagement to support organic growth. So external growth, let's go back to that definition. External growth expands a business rapidly via mergers or takeovers to access new markets and resources. So maybe taking over your competition or someone within your supply chain. So the benefit of that is that you get to grow a lot quicker. You're increasing your market share, and potentially with two companies coming together, you can benefit from synergy and possibly economies of scale. The downside to this is that you might have cultural clashes. Two businesses don't always do things the same way. So you've got integration issues. How do you bring two businesses together effectively when they do things so differently? It can be costly as well. Acquiring another company can be very expensive. So though you're growing quickly, it's a lot riskier and a lot more expensive. In order to do this successfully, you have to make sure that the companies that are coming together strategically align, looking at their aims, their objectives, their culture, how they do things. And this needs to be effectively managed. So let's look at a real world case study. So Tesco's. Tesco's expanded organically by opening new stores and launching online shopping platforms to reach more customers. Nice and straightforward. They grew naturally. Tesco's acquired Booker Group in 2018 to enter the wholesale market and diversify its business operations. So they actually undertook external growth in 2018, where they bought someone within their supply chain. The acquisition provided economies of scale, new customer segments, and strengthened Tesco's market position. It provided economies of scale due to the fact that they no longer had to pay those profit margins in between. Tesco's combined growth methods emphasize aligning strategies with long-term business goals and competitiveness. So made sure that their strategies aligned. What they both wanted to achieve was the same. Here's another one, Meta or Facebook case study. Strategic acquisitions, so Meta expanded rapidly by acquiring Instagram and WhatsApp, increasing user base and market presence. Acquisitions enable Meta to diversify services and integrate innovative technologies effectively, so this would have definitely allowed them to benefit from economies of scale, economies of scale. External growth helped Meta mitigate competition, so helped reduce competition and enhance global reach and advertising revenue. So it was a very successful example there of the acquisition. So let's have a look at some growth strategies and their impacts. So for economies of scale, we have different types of economies of scale. We have purchasing, technical, managerial economies of scale. So purchasing means when we're buying in bulk. If we buy larger quantities in one go, we can usually get the cost per unit down lower. Technical means we can invest in better machinery, better IT systems, and it's spread over more number of products, and therefore the cost per unit decreases. Managerial is when we're focusing on employing the best management that we can do, and because usually those wages are higher, we can actually spread that over a greater number of products, reducing the average cost. The benefit of this is that increasing output lowers cost per unit, enhancing profitability and market competitiveness. So if we're reducing our costs, obviously our profit margins will increase. Economies of scale enables firms to lower prices, invest in innovation and boost efficiency. So if you don't want to keep the high profit margins and you actually want to try and expand those sales and your market share, you can actually lower your prices. Diversification. So diversification helps businesses reduce risk and dependence on a single revenue stream by expanding markets and products. So you're offering a wide product portfolio. You're reducing your risk because you're not focusing on just one product. So advantages include increased resilience, new customer access, and opportunities for innovation and growth. You have a lot more opportunities when you're kind of expanding your repertoire of products and services. However, it can dilute brand identity and strain resources, requiring careful planning and market research. You want to make sure that the diversification that you do, you are getting right. You have limited resources, you don't want to be spreading those too thinly. Effective diversification aligns with core competencies and supports long-term growth and adaptability in markets. So you need to make sure that whatever you're doing, these new products or markets you're going into are actually aligning with your business and allowing you to achieve your long-term aims and objectives. So let's have a look at some exam preparation and skill that you're going to need in order to answer these growth questions. Now, just to recap, you can use your PEAL, you can use your BLT. So PEAL is really good for when you're answering those longer questions. So point, explain, example, and link it back to the question. Applying those, start with a clear point and make sure you're really specific to the benefits of business growth or the drawbacks of business growth. And you've really identified what type of growth you're talking about. And making sure those answers are structured, really clear, and you're using those connectives. So again, you may be looking at the benefits of external growth and making sure that you are answering it specific to the case study. So it's an example, external growth enables rapid expansion by acquiring new customers and increasing market share quickly. If you're talking about economies of scale, you say large businesses benefit from economies of scale, leading to improved profitability and competitive advantage. So you need to remember that using the correct terminology, clearly structuring, using your examples, and looking towards a balanced evaluation is where you will get the highest marks. So analyse the benefits of organic growth for a small business. 6 marks. Use your PEEL structure or your BLT. So you point here, organic growth allows more control. Explain, the business can expand at its own pace. So more control, it therefore can expand at its own pace. For example, a local cafe opening a second branch. This reduces and maintains brand identity. So you're giving me that benefit at the very end. What does that actually mean for the business? So organic growth allows a small business to expand gradually, maintaining control over operations. For example, a local cafe might open a second branch in a nearby town. This helps build brand loyalty and reduces the risk of overexpansion. Unlike external growth, the owner can ensure quality and customer service remain high. So you've got a really good example there of what that actually truly means for the company. It's very specific to the question. So just a few things to remember. Use your business terminology. Apply real examples. Structure answers using PEEL, or if you want to, use your BLT. And link it back to the question. So keep revising, keep practicing, checking your answers, and make sure you remember that exam technique and the layout of those answers. So let's have a recap and review. Methods of business growth. The business's growth occurs organically, so natural, or externally through mergers and takeovers. You need to understand key terms like economies of scale and diversification, and truly be able to use those in your descriptions and your explanations. Try and build up some case studies, some examples that you can use like Tesco and Meta. It demonstrates your business understanding and knowledge. And practice with the PEEL structure or the BLT structure to make sure you're hitting those high grades. So let's have another look at a question. Evaluate whether external growth is a good strategy for a fast food business. For this one, it's 9 marks. I'd like you to use the PEEL method or BLT, whichever you're happiest with. I'd like you to use a justification at the end. So why is it? Actually refer back to the question and tell me why. Justify your reasoning. Pause the video and give yourself 9 minutes, or if you get extra time, add that on. Give yourself the time, have a go at the question, and then come back and see how well you've done. So let's have a little look.